Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and today I'm going to let you look inside yourself and see if you really truly realize what you own. You've been watching the markets and you've been watching different digital assets go up crazy amounts. You've been seeing digital assets called dog coin and all these things going up like crazy. And a lot of people, I've been guilty in the past of chasing the whatever's shiny at the time myself. But it's important, especially in these times, to bring you back to center and make you understand everything else is a distraction. XRP is the one. XLM is probably brother, sister. Everything else is a distraction, and it might be an intentional distraction. But I saw something that someone who truly got it in the last 24 hours. I'm going to show them to you. And then I'm going to compare that to all these Bitcoin maxi people that you see being paraded out on CNBC, almost as if it's a planned marketing program, which it is, by the way. And by the way, my son, I woke up this morning and I literally, on Fridays, I open my eyes and I have an 8-year-old sitting in front of me saying, McDonald's, McDonald's, McDonald's. He expects that he's getting McDonald's well, it's not really about McDonald's. He doesn't care where we go. He just wants me to take him somewhere to get some breakfast on every Friday. This kid is not afraid to ask. He probably will be a salesman. Okay, so I wanted to start with this. XRP, I tweeted this morning. XRP's up 100% in 30 days with the cloud of an SEC lawsuit. Somebody out there must see some sunshine. There's not a doubt in my mind that most people in their gut, and probably a few people that know what's really going on, are out there buying this stuff because they know that this thing is going to be settled and that this is all going to go away. And it could go. Look, this is what a lot of people don't think about. And I talk to a lot of people in this space, folks, and let me tell you what, to a man, every one of them thinks that if they're the second that there's a settlement announced, that this rocket ship is going absolutely nuts to places we haven't been before. And I believe the same thing. Now, Mr. B made a point here this morning. I remember when the market cap went down 105 billion, yet the believers still believe. Now we're at 1.5 trillion. Now, and he's talking about the market cap, how it went past 1.5 trillion. Yes, I remember a time when this entire market was down at 100 billion during this bear market, and let me tell you what, that was when you find out what you're made of, for sure. And you know what I did during that? I went the crazy route, and I kept buying all the way down. I never stopped buying, never. Okay, now. I wanted to show you the market and just to show you kind of what's going on before I show you these videos. The first thing here, I wanted to show you really XRP. Look at it. This is with an SEC lawsuit. 7 days, 31%. 30 days, 94%. 1 quarter, 119%. 1 year, 83%. And then let's look to see if that market cap is holding where Mr. B said. It's at 1.45 trillion. Okay, Bitcoin looks like it's holding pretty strong. Everything's doing awesome. Cardano has been one hell of a winner in recent times. But there's another point I want to make to you folks. When the XRP lawsuit, and this is another factor you need to be thinking about. And look, I like Cardano, for instance. I think Cardano is a great project. But here's what you need to understand out there, folks. What happened? You need to ask yourself, what happened when the XRP lawsuit hit? Where did the money that flowed out of XRP go? Which digital assets did it flow into? Because when this thing gets settled, not only is the price of XRP going to go up, But I believe that the price of some of the digital assets that money incorrectly, and I do stress incorrectly, flowed into, because Cardano is a great project, but it ain't XRP, folks. Just not. It's just not. And Charles Hoskinson's a really smart guy, and they've done a really good job, and they've spent years on the engineering and creating this digital asset and working on all the ins and outs of it. I agree. But there's something I learned a long time ago, folks. Life is about one thing, and not just one thing, but a lot of things in finance, most things in finance have to do with one word: relationships, connections. Relationships, connections. You couldn't possibly, nobody could possibly stand in and combine a technology with the relationships and the connections that the people at Ripple have developed and came from over the last few years. That can't be underestimated. The rooms that you've seen them in, the red phones that had to be picked up to make calls to get Brad Garlinghouse into those rooms. Do not underestimate what that represents and who must have been behind it. Okay? All right. Now, moving along. I'm sorry, I'm wasting time here. Now, here's the point I want to make. And I don't want to show you this video, but I'm going to show you at least part of it just to make a point. We've watched this Michael Saylor because he's been activated. He's part of the Bitcoin marketing program. It's not a company, but it has a marketing program, because that's all it is. All it ever was. Now, I want you to listen to what he says, because words mean things. If you listen to what he says every time he's interviewed, there's a theme of it. And I want to point out to you, before I show you what I'm going to show you, I want to point out to you the theme of what he says are the pros about Bitcoin, and then I want to talk about what he doesn't say. Then I'm going to show you a video from a guy who's an actual a guy that does investments, who understands what XRP is. Okay? All right. Now, so listen up.
Cash is diluted to shareholder value. If you can't get a return risk-free in excess of 15% on your assets, you're not going to keep up with the rate of M2 monetary expansion. So the pitch, in essence, is convert a non-performing asset into the best performing asset. Bitcoin's been appreciating at 220%.
Okay, so his first argument is that you should buy Bitcoin because of its past performance. And this isn't just him. This is a constant theme, whether it's Novogratz, whether it's all these guys. They're constant. They have to beat certain drums because they can't beat the drums that might reveal the truth.
It's about every year on average for the past 10 years. So there's nothing that's going to be more accretive to your shareholder value than to flip your non-performing cash into an accretive digital asset like Bitcoin.
And so the moves that you made here, Michael, over the past year, is this then a general assessment on your part and the folks who work for you that the dollar and its position right now in the world right now is going to continue down this trajectory? You're confident that that's going to be the case?
Well, I think the macroeconomic outlook is for monetary expansion in the range of 15% for the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Okay, so there it is. And that's what I wanted you to hear. So basically what the argument that this guy and all the Bitcoin maxis continue to make is A, that Bitcoin is decentralized. That's the first one. The second one is that look how it's performed. This is why you should buy. Look how it's performed. And the reason it's performed that way is because of monetary policy. They've been printing money. And Bitcoin has scarcity. There's only 21 million. Well, here's the things they don't tell you. The first one is XRP has the same scarcity with some major differences that are good. XRP, there's only 100 billion. And so, yes, but there's only 21 million Bitcoin, but and there's 100 billion XRP, but it operates the same way. If you invest $10,000 in Bitcoin, you're going to get X amount of Bitcoin. $10,000 in XRP. They both have scarcity. There's not going to be more of them. Okay, it's that you accomplish the same thing with the scarcity aspect of it. Is my point. But here's the things that Bitcoin maxis never tell you. They never focus in on the fact that you're supposed to trust this Satoshi Nakamoto, who owns a huge amount of the Bitcoin, okay, who's anonymous, They don't know if Satoshi Nakamoto is China, Russia, a combination of the two, or some terrorist. They have no idea. That you're supposed to just go with that, okay? Whereas over on the other side, you have Ripple, this company who's worked for 8 years on this, and they've been very transparent. They've shown you what they own. They've been very transparent about what they're selling and all that stuff for 8 years. You don't get that transparency. What's Satoshi Nakamoto doing with his Bitcoin, okay, or its Bitcoin, whatever? They also don't talk. You will never hear a Bitcoin maxi talk about the scalability of Bitcoin, because it can't. You won't hear them talk about how slow Bitcoin it can go. It can take 2 to 3 hours to send a Bitcoin when the market starts getting hot. They also don't talk about how expensive it is, and they sure as hell don't talk about how it wastes energy. Now, against the backdrop of their sales pitch, now I want to show you really what is the first time that I have seen someone in the investment world who's got clients come out and tell you why the investment is actually XRP. You won't see this guy paraded out on CNBC because that doesn't fit the marketing program. Watch this. But it's like my father, the official father of the Digital Asset Investor channel, always says. He always invested in what made sense, because what makes sense is ultimately where the money's made. And Bitcoin doesn't make sense. Proof of work doesn't make sense, but XRP makes 100% sense. Now, let me give some credit here. This is James Rule. He interviewed this guy. James Rule's been on fire, and the guy's one of the most hardworking people in the XRP land. At Rule XRP, go give him a follow and listen to this piece.
Where do you feel that XRP, just based on your honest opinion, is going to hit, say, a month after regulation?
Yeah. So we believe that the last domino to fall on regulation right now is the SEC lawsuit, and that could be resolved in a variety of ways, but it could also be resolved in regulation coming in over the top. We know it's imminent, though, right? So when I say imminent, I would be surprised if a quarter from now we're really still embroiled in the SEC lawsuit, because I think the state of affairs throughout the world is such that we're going to need a solution like an XRP for liquidity purposes sooner rather than later. So the question is then, okay, we've magically resolved it. Where does the price go? It's easy to project that it's a double-digit number. So I think it immediately shoots up to a $10, potentially $20. The wild card to me is that there is actually a deal to be done among the central banks and governments to basically have XRP work as the world's bridge currency, a neutral asset that can be traded between the central banks to move a specific type of fiat to another type of fiat. If that's what occurs, it's back to what we were discussing earlier. It's got to cover kind of all the money. And I think you're looking at a range that XRP would settle on agreement. So this would happen instantaneously, somewhere between $10,000 and $35,000 a coin. And our lives will be, maybe the same, maybe different. I don't know.
Okay, now I want to give a caveat here. You may think those numbers, that $10,000 to $35,000 sounds crazy. I've heard those kind of numbers a lot over the last 2 or 3 years. I'm not weighing in on whether that's crazy or not. What I want you to focus on is that this guy, I've been in this for a long time, and this guy totally gets it. And I'm not just talking about that clip. He understands the big picture. I went and found James Rule's actual video on this, and I want to play you some other clips so that you can fully understand. I want you to think about this sales pitch, or that's probably the wrong word. I want you to think about this explanation of why it's smart as an XRP as an investment versus the argument that these Bitcoin people give that I just went over with you. But first I want to tell you, it's James Rule XRP. Go give him a subscribe. He like I said, he's one of the hardest working guys in this. So go give him a subscribe. Now listen to this.
So we are materially long in XRP and XLM, and our path to those digital assets really came very pragmatically based on the issues you're suggesting. Initially, we bought Bitcoin and we held Bitcoin. We did well with our Bitcoin investment. But as you're looking at this new world of digital assets, and you think about other industries and how they mature, how they grow and mature, at the end of the day, we know utility will win the day. So as you look at a Bitcoin and you think about the energy consumption of a Bitcoin, you compare that to an XRP, which is 57,000 times more energy efficient than Bitcoin is. And then you start to look at the cost comparison of implementing a Bitcoin transaction versus an XRP transaction. And then you look at the time it takes to implement a Bitcoin transaction, which you can initiate and may not settle for hours. Some people don't have a settlement of their Bitcoin transaction until the next day. That's unacceptable in a business environment.
You're damn right.
XRP, on the other hand, settles, you initiate payment, it settles in 3 seconds. The longest I've ever seen an XRP transaction take is probably 5 seconds. And it was long enough to be looking at the phone going, where's it at? And then it hit, right? So, the other thing is that, the politicians and other climate activists around the world are saying that we're at a fulcrum, we're at a decision point about climate change. And for public companies in particular, ESG compliance, which is environmental, social, and governance issues, has become the most important thing. They have to do disclosures about it. They're graded by shareholders on their ESG compliance. So I think as public companies start to grapple with how, ISS and other shareholder organizations look at an investment in Bitcoin as not being environmentally sound, you're going to see a lot of people go through the same progression that Valhill did, maybe starting at Bitcoin, because that's the name and then moving over to what is a much better asset, certainly for the velocity.
Get ready for it, folks.
That's required in a payments network, moving over to XRP or XLM. He's
also an XLM guy. Now, let's go to this guy. I am very impressed with this guy because I don't think I've ever seen anybody from an investment firm come out and literally talk about the common sense elephants. And I'm not saying elephant. I'm saying elephants with an S. The elephants in the room, the common sense that's being ignored by these Bitcoin maxis. This guy's telling the truth. And now he's going to talk about, this clip is going to talk about this SEC lawsuit, and he's also going to talk about how he thinks the XRP escrow is involved.
A currency or a security?
Well, we've spent a lot of time with legal counsel actually evaluating this very issue. At Valhill, we believe XRP is clearly a currency. Certainly at this point in time when it has been dispersed all over the world, there's nodes operating all over the world, verifying XRP transactions. We are paying executives in XRP. Some of our executives are actually using it to buy groceries, gasoline, and things like that. That's a currency in any way you want to look at it. But the other thing that we appreciate at Valhill is that the ultimate intended use of XRP is to be a settlement between the central banks, much like they use the Nostro Vostro accounts right now. So if you start to think about what the capacity that is needed to settle trillions of dollars, every minute of every day by the central banks as they're moving this fiat money back and forth among the central banks. We believe that ultimately, if XRP realizes its true potential, it will be predominantly used by the central banks. Now, think about a world in which the central banks all decide to adopt and agree to a price that covers all the money, right? And what the price of XRP would need to be to cover all the money. You're talking about something between probably $10,000 and maybe even as high as the current price of gold, current implied price of gold.
Well, that's interesting.
$35,000. Okay, that would cover all the money. Now, if you have a price for XRP at $35,000, let's say, and Ripple is sitting on $50 billion XRP, you've just made Ripple more valuable than most medium-sized countries, and able to affect, based on the swings of what they do and Ripple's monetary policy, they could move entire marketplaces. They could bankrupt countries, right? And that's probably not acceptable if you're sitting back and being real honest as a regulator.
Finally, we have an adult. We have an adult in the room who is saying what I've been saying for over 2 years. Antitrust laws. Anybody who thinks that this little startup out of if that was ever the plan, that this little startup out of freaking Silicon Valley is going to be allowed to have 50 billion of something that could be worth trillions and trillions of dollars and make this company worth more than countries is crazy. It's not going to happen. Never was going to happen. And anybody that's really thought that through knows that. It's all about the escrow. It's always been about the escrow. It's crazy to anybody who thinks, let's say you think that XRP is going, just do the math. I mean, and maybe you don't think XRP is going beyond, say, $100. I do, but if XRP can do what it's done just in the last, say, 48 hours, it can go there. But the point is that no company, I don't care if it's Ripple or anybody else, is going to be allowed to have that kind of worth, because they could literally take over countries. And he's right.
So is there some world that you're kind of getting both? You're getting for the initial distribution of XRP is treated like a security to kind of keep it done in a certain way, or limit the trading of it between central banks, governments, commercial banks maybe, and highly accredited investors. I can see something kind of working out like that. The trick to me at this point is going to be how to get Ripple to agree with the government that they won't be in control of the escrow, ultimate control of the escrow. I think that's probably what the backroom discussions are really about.
Yes.
And if they can come up with a way that there's a agreed upon distribution process that is subject to government oversight, like a security would be, like the registration of a security would be, and that the volume of that distribution happens in a certain way, that we could see a deal struck where, initially distribution, it's a security for those purposes, but for the purposes of the way, you and I deal with XRP and crypto, it's a currency.
Okay. So this guy just knocked it out of the park. He's saying all the right stuff, and I agree with pretty much everything he just said. I just wanted to show you who he is, because I don't like to just show people and not show their credentials or whatever. He's got this handle on Twitter, Jimmy Valley, and he says energy deal maker is what he's got there. Now here's his LinkedIn profile, and this right here says a lot for me. Managing director at Vol Hill Capital, and that's volhillcapital.com is their website. Now, when you go down, the guy's apparently an attorney as well. When I saw this is when I knew that the guy was legit. I mean, I assumed he was, but this is when I knew he was legit. The guy was at Jones Day. He was a partner at Jones Day. Now, my brother-in-law worked at Jones Day. My brother-in-law is an attorney, and I know for a fact that if you go and work at Jones Day, that you are like top notch in the top 5 or 10 in your class type law student. So the guy can't be a schlub and have worked there. Okay. Here's the guy. Here's his website. It's volhillcapital.com. He's managing director. He went to Texas Tech, Lamar University. Anyway, the guy basically, here's his write-up here. Next, I wanted to show you, if you think those numbers are crazy that he was throwing out, I wanted to at least show you this. You might want to go check out this article. This is written by Mark Phillips, who's also on Twitter. The XRP was designed for $10,000. The evidence is in its design. And I also want to show you this. This, what you're looking at, I tweeted this morning. People from Goldman Sachs, CME Group, BlackRock, Swift, etc. joined this little startup in Silicon Valley. Why? And what I've got here is a screenshot from Bob Way, who was one of the first 10 employees at Ripple, and he put this out a year or two ago. If you can't read that, I'm going to read it. He says, several people left fancy jobs and joined Ripple because, I paraphrase, if we capture even a minor fraction of the international payments market, do you know the value XRP will need to have to support that? Do the math. Really, really big trade number divided by 100 billion XRP. Wow. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that number's got to be really, really big. Thanks for listening.